Picture this, you're at the gym, and a civil servant casually says, "Don't you just upload the documents to ChatGPT?" She's talking about professional translation, work that keeps organizations running, contracts enforceable, and communication clear across borders. And her assumption is so casual, so obvious sounding, that if you didn't know better you'd think, yeah, why not? That's exactly the question that reveals something crucial about how people misunderstand what AI can actually do. Here's the shocking part: a professional translator just documented exactly why this idea is so dangerously wrong. And it's not because ChatGPT is bad at translating. It's because people don't understand what translation actually is. The civil servant in the story, she works in human resources. Her own organization can't rely on AI for this work because, in her own words, it's really not reliable enough. But millions of people are making the exact same assumption she made. They're assuming AI has solved the problem. It hasn't. And what happens when these assumptions meet real-world stakes, money, contracts, legal responsibility, is where things get interesting. The logic seems airtight. ChatGPT can generate text in any language. It's trained on billions of words from around the world. It's fast, it's available, it's free or cheap. So why wouldn't it handle professional translation? The answer is that people are conflating two totally different things. One is the ability to rearrange words from language A into language B. The other is translation, which is about understanding intent, preserving meaning, and adapting context. Here's an analogy. If you've ever played telephone where one person whispers a message and it gets passed down a line of people, you know how wrong it can go by the end. ChatGPT is fast at telephone, but professional translation isn't telephone, it's interpretation. A translator doesn't just swap words. They make dozens of micro-decisions about tone, formality, cultural assumptions, technical terminology, and idiomatic expression. They know that the word for trust in one language doesn't map one-to-one to trust in another. They know that a literal translation of a marketing phrase can feel stiff or offensive. They know the client's industry, their past decisions, their glossaries, their style. ChatGPT knows none of that. It sees patterns. It doesn't understand context the way a human who's spent years in a field actually does. But the problem is, ChatGPT's output looks polished. It looks complete. It looks professional, so everyone assumes it works. Let's be precise about the gap. ChatGPT is trained to predict the next word based on patterns in training data. It's incredibly good at this. But translation isn't prediction, it's decision-making under uncertainty. When a human translator reads a phrase like, "The company takes its responsibilities seriously," they're not hunting for the most statistically likely word in the target language. They're asking, what did the original author mean? What does the reader need to understand? What's the tone? Is this a legal document, marketing copy, or internal memo? ChatGPT makes one output. It doesn't show its reasoning. It doesn't check for consistency with previous pages. It doesn't catch when it's invented a term that doesn't exist in the target language, and this happens constantly. A professional translator does all of this. They iterate, they consult references, they maintain style guides. They verify with subject matter experts. They know the difference between a 95% accurate translation and a 70% one, and they know that 70% breaks contracts. The translator in this story puts it perfectly. I adapt, I localize, and I find the best way to convey the original message so it makes sense and feels natural. That requires judgment. That requires experience. That requires knowing what matters in the real world. Not just which words are statistically probable. The specific failures tell the real story. ChatGPT invents terminology. You ask it to translate a technical document, and it uses a phrase that simply doesn't exist in the target language, making the whole document incomprehensible to subject matter experts. It's inconsistent. It'll translate the same term 3 different ways in the same document. It mangles formatting. Headings become body text. Line breaks vanish. Tables collapse. Hyperlinks break. It misses cultural context. A phrase that's funny or persuasive in English becomes offensive or nonsensical in another culture, and it hallucinates. It'll confidently produce grammatically perfect sentences that are completely wrong, not just stylistically, but factually. A translator would catch all of this. ChatGPT produces output and stops. You get back what looks like a professional translation. You don't know any of this happened until the client reports that half the terminology is wrong, or the legal team says a clause is unenforceable because the wording is ambiguous, or the German team says the phrasing sounds like it was written by a robot. That's not ChatGPT being bad at language. That's ChatGPT being optimized for speed and plausibility, not reliability. Those are different things. A 95% accurate translation for a casual email. ChatGPT might be fine. A contract, a regulatory document, a technical specification that your product's safety depends on, that's where the difference matters. Here's where the real insight emerges. The translator in the story doesn't reject ChatGPT. She uses it. She uses it to check for style guide violations. She uses it to extract terminology from documents. She uses it to build glossaries. She uses it for the grunt work that speeds up her actual translation. But she verifies everything. She corrects everything. She makes the final decision on everything. That's the difference between a tool and a replacement. A tool amplifies human capability. A replacement tries to do the work independently. Right now, if you replace professional translators with ChatGPT, you get faster output and worse results. If you use ChatGPT as a tool under human oversight, you get faster output and comparable results, sometimes better. Those are completely different outcomes. And this logic applies everywhere, not just translation. A doctor can use AI to review X-rays faster. An engineer can use AI to generate code scaffolding. A writer can use AI to draft outlines. But in every case, the human is the decision maker. The human is responsible. The human's expertise is what turns AI output into something reliable. The problem, and this is what really matters, is that AI output looks independent. It doesn't come with warnings. It doesn't say, I invented half of this terminology, or I'm guessing at the tone here. It looks done, so people treat it as done. They skip the verification step, and that's where everything breaks. The translation story is important because it's not unique. It's a warning that applies to law, medicine, engineering, accounting, anywhere expertise matters and mistakes are expensive. Right now, there's enormous pressure to deploy AI everywhere. Why are you still hiring lawyers when ChatGPT can draft contracts? Why are you still doing code reviews when AI can write the code? The answer is the same in every case, because someone has to be responsible for the output. And right now, AI can't be. An AI system doesn't get sued. A human does. A human is liable for a mistranslated contract, a botched diagnosis, an unsafe bridge design, a miscalculated tax return. So the human has to verify everything, which means they need to understand the work deeply enough to catch mistakes. And if they're going to catch mistakes, they already know how to do the work. So what's AI actually speeding up? The parts that are already routine, the parts that are already low stakes. It's amplifying the efficiency of people who already know their field, not replacing the expertise. The civil servant who suggested uploading documents to ChatGPT, she didn't understand her own organization's constraints. She didn't understand liability. She didn't understand what professional translation actually requires. She saw speed and assumed capability. And that gap between what looks fast and what actually works is where serious problems hide. Every field is making the same assumption right now. So here's what responsible use looks like, using translation as the example. Step 1. Identify the routine parts. In translation, that's extracting terminology, checking against style guides, catching obvious formatting issues, generating first draft alternatives for difficult phrases. These are places where AI speeds up work without replacing judgment. Step 2. Keep humans in the verification loop. The professional translator reviews everything AI produces. She corrects it, she challenges it, she makes the final call. Step 3. Understand the stakes. If this translation goes wrong, what breaks? A casual email, a contract, a regulatory filing. The riskier the output, the more verification it needs. Step 4. Don't skip the expertise. If you can't verify the AI's work yourself, you can't deploy it. That means you need the professional on staff, reviewing and correcting. Which means you haven't actually reduced costs or headcount, you've just added a layer of busy work between the AI and the output. The translator puts it perfectly. She uses AI strategically, but always with verification and correction. She treats it as a productivity tool for the parts she's already expert in, not as a replacement for her expertise. That's the template for every field. Radiologists might use AI to flag potential issues on scans, but they still read the scans. Engineers might use AI to generate code, but they still code review it. And a company that skips the verification step and puts pure ChatGPT output in front of a client, they are cutting corners on the work that matters most. Here's what this story teaches us about the future of AI and work. The assumption that AI will automate jobs wholesale, it's not accurate. What's actually happening is that AI is automating specific, routine, low-stakes tasks within fields where expertise is concentrated. A translator's job isn't going away, her tools are changing. An engineer's job isn't going away, their tools are changing. A doctor's job isn't going away, their workflow is changing. The jobs that look most vulnerable are ones where output can be deployed without verification. Customer service bots, content mills, basic customer support, places where speed matters more than reliability, but anywhere a mistake is expensive, anywhere liability exists, anywhere human judgment is the actual product, that's where expertise survives. It survives because someone has to be responsible, and responsibility requires knowledge. Here's what matters for you personally. If your job involves high-stakes decision-making, you're probably fine. If your job involves routine, low-stakes output that gets checked by someone else anyway, you might want to understand how your field's AI tools work. Not because you're going to be replaced, but because the people using those tools effectively, the ones who understand where AI fails and how to verify output, they'll be the ones who thrive. The translator's message is clear. AI is a tool. It's a powerful tool, but it's not magic, and it's not a replacement for understanding your craft. The future isn't AI replacing humans. It's humans who understand AI replacing humans who don't. Follow for more stories about where AI hype meets reality.